fellow book lovers, welcome back to the Bibliovert channel. My name is Jacqueline, and for today's video I was inspired by one of our dear friends, Alex with a Book, in her video of books that she loves and wants to reread. Please do yourself a favor and go check out her channel. She's absolutely incredible and we love her so much. So I thought I would do my take on that video. So today we are going to talk about some of my favorite books and ones that I want to reread soon. This is really saying something because I don't reread books a whole lot. Sometimes I get really nervous that I will love a book and then reread it and not enjoy it as much as I did the first time around. However, these are some that I've actually already reread and know that stand up to the test of time, and then others that I just loved so much that I want to jump back into that world. So here are 10 of my favorites and I am really excited to share them with you. I've decided to break them down into fantasy, romance, kind of historical fiction-ish. And then of course, it's not going to be a video with me unless I talk about fanfics. So there are also a few fanfics as well, but we're going to start off with the fantasy category. The first one, it's popular. And in my opinion, it's popular for a reason. I am actually currently rereading this series and I'm buddy reading it with my mom and I am having the absolute best time. I'm also annotating it and it's taking me so much longer to read it because I'm tabbing and I just have so many things to say. But it is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Y'all, this is one of my favorite series of all times. And I don't talk about it very often because it is so popular and there's not really much that I have to add to what everyone else has said. I do prefer this series over ACOTAR. I am more of a plot-driven reader rather than a character development-driven reader. And the plot of this series is so good. Some people don't like the first couple. I love them all. So I do recommend that if you're reading that and you're like, this is kind of slow, give it a little bit. It picks up. The plot is so good. The twists and turns are fantastic. If you do want to know a little bit more in depth of my thoughts as well as my co-host thoughts, we do have episodes over every single book in this series over on the Bibliovertpodcast, so you're more than welcome to check it out. But y'all, it has been so much fun and I have loved reading it with my mom and getting to hear her thoughts and watch her fall in love with the characters. It's just been the absolute best time. So I couldn't talk about books that I love and want to reread without having this one first and foremost on the list. Okay, moving on. This book, I actually had the distinct honor of getting to partner with this independent author before the book came out, read it, and then for book 2, I got to beta read her book. And I had such a good time doing it. I love this book. I fell in love with the characters. It's so well written. The author is such a gem, and it is House of Bastion by K.L. Coleridge. If you are like me and you're more of a plot person, this book is for you. The political intrigue is absolutely incredible. Just a heads up, there's not really any romance in this book, so if you are looking for romance, there's not really any in book 2. I do think KL has talked about potentially sprinkling it in the other books, but this book is much more political intrigue, and I ate it up. It is so good. You get multiple POVs. It's absolutely fascinating, and I fell in love with all of the characters and the plots along the way, and it was twisty and it was turny and there were mysteries and it was absolutely fantastic. So I highly recommend checking it out. The first 2 books are incredible and I believe it's going to be a 6-book series, but that might change. So definitely check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, like, a little shout out, our reviews on the back of the book. So like, we're on there, which is a lot of fun. And I didn't know that until I ordered the book myself and saw it and proceeded to scream. So that's a lot of fun and exciting. But I do really, really love this book and highly, highly recommend it. Okay, so the next one is actually one from my childhood that I have not reread in a long time. I did reread it a lot when I was a kid. But this book is probably responsible for at least 90% of my personality. At least 90% of my personality. And it is Inkheart by Cornelia Fung. Y'all, this book, I genuinely think this book is one of the reasons why I love reading so much. I was an avid reader as a child. I was the kid who would stay in from recess so that I could read. And I always enjoyed the books that I read. And then I found this one, and it is like it took over me, and it just gave me a whole new reason to want to read. And it was like having that exceptional world building and really losing myself in a book for the very first time. The main character, Maggie, she has a big chest for all of the books that she loves. And I convinced my mom to go to all of these antique stores until we found this beautiful big chest, and I would fill it with all of my favorite books, and I still have it as an adult, and it just makes me really, really happy. Also, the father in this book, the father-daughter relationship is so tender, and the dad is a bookbinder, which is something that I'm starting to get into. So it's just like, it just makes me so happy. But I haven't reread it in 15 years probably. So I think it's time. I think it's time for us to reread it. And I'm so excited because I loved it. This world is amazing, and I remember so much of it. And it just the nostalgia is there, and it is so strong. So I love this book, and I cannot wait to get to reread it soon. Okay, we are now moving into the romance category. So I historically have not loved Christina Lauren books, which is a shame. And I have really tried. I'm looking on my shelves right now, and I think I've read 5 so far. And there's really been one that I've liked. All right, so now we are moving into the romance category. I historically have not loved Christina Lauren books, which is really sad. And I have given it a shot. I think I'm looking on my shelves right now, and I've read at least 5 of them. One I really, really liked, which we're about to talk about. Another one, it was okay. And then the other 3, I really didn't like them. So I still have one more on my shelf, Something Wilder, that I have not gotten to. So but I promise I have given them a fair shot. However, this book in particular had me laughing so hard. I thought it was so funny, so clever, so cute. I was kicking my feet, giggling the whole time through it. And it is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This book, just the comedy of errors just had me cackling. It is about a girl who is at her sister's wedding, and her sister is notoriously big on wanting to find all of the bargains, but the main character was not able to eat the food at the wedding because of, I think, a shellfish allergy. And everyone, the bride, the groom, the family, the bridal party, everyone got food poisoning from the food, except for our main character and her enemy, who was one of the groomsmen. And so the bride and groom could not go on their honeymoon, and instead the sister and the groomsmen went instead, because it was non-refundable and all that kind of stuff. And they hate each other, and it was so funny. It was so funny. I enjoyed it so much. Of course, we have a little enemies to lovers moment. Cute, clever, hilarious. I had such a great time reading it. So this is one that I would definitely reread. Please let me know other Christina Lauren books that you think I would enjoy. I promise I'm willing to give them a shot, but this one definitely is one that I loved. Okay, this next one was legitimately one of my favorite books of last year. I loved it. I cannot wait to reread it. It's also a Christina Lauren situation where I've read the 2 other books by this author and did not like them at all, but loved this one. This is another one that I called my mom, made her read it. I've talked about it so much on our channel, but I have been thinking about it recently and desperately need a reread. And it is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm very excited for Happy Place, which comes out in April. I'm a little bit nervous because technically this one's the exception, and I liked it, and I didn't love the other 2. So I'm hoping I really like Happy Place, but this one is also so freaking funny. I have realized that in my romances, they have to be funny. If they're not funny, I'm not going to love them. But this one had me absolutely cackling, turns all of those classic Hallmark tropes, puts them on their head. The characters just felt like a little warm hug, and I just enjoyed every single millisecond of reading this book, and I'm already ready to do a reread, so I think it's time. But I loved this one. and we'll see about Happy Place. I hope it's good. All right, moving into the like historical fiction books. Why not? This book, y'all, hurt in all of the best ways. I've mentioned earlier that I am a plot girly. I need it to be a fast plot. And if it's not, I'm going to be bored and I'm going to put the book down and it's not going to work for me. This is the exception because I would not consider this book fast paced, nor really like there is character development in it, but like it's just beautiful and heart wrenching. And I also saw this main character and there were just so many things that I admired about her that I wanted to have in my life and I wanted to be like that. So it was such a pleasant reading experience and I really, really loved it. But it is Circe by Madeline Miller. Again, this book, it's not very fast, but it's beautiful and it's haunting and it's captivating and it's heartbreaking. And I just love her. I just love her so, so much. I thought it was so well done, so compelling. And I read it in 2020 and I have not stopped thinking about it since. And I think that this year is the year for a reread. I would recommend this book to absolutely everyone. Do check trigger warnings though. There's sexual assault and rape. So please be aware of that going into this book. But I loved it and I hope you love it too. I have not read Song of Achilles yet because I know it's gonna hurt. Everyone I've talked to is like, you will be broken by the end of it. And I just don't know if I'm ready for that. So I haven't read it yet, but this one is just gorgeous. A couple of days ago, some of my friends were talking about the wives of King Henry VIII and who we think we would be. You know, like if you took a test, like which wives of King Henry VIII would you be? And it got me thinking and it completely consumed my thoughts for a while. And I was like, I need to do more research and learn more because I love, love, love the wives of King Henry VIII. And I feel like I need to watch this musical 6 and all of these things. But I was thinking about this book in particular a lot because I just felt like it was so well done and giving you great insights into the wives. And it is called Fatal Throne. This book is by a handful of different female authors. They're all researchers. They all did their due diligence in learning about the wives of King Henry VIII, and each author gets a different wife. So it's comprised of 6 different points of view, each one of the wives, and they have several chapters. So it's kind of like 6 books put into one or 6 novellas put into one. And it is gorgeous. Actually, I think technically the last chapter is maybe Queen Elizabeth's point of view, so I guess it's technically 7 points of view. I don't think we have any from King Henry VIII. But oh my gosh, it's so good. It's much more of a story overview, and they definitely took artistic liberties in kind of filling in the blanks and telling you more about the personalities of the different wives instead of it just being like a really historical, factual kind of like overview and explanation. And I loved it. I felt like it was much easier for me to understand the wives and their motivations and their stories. And it was absolutely gorgeous. And I really, really loved it. It's been several years since I've read it. So this is another one that I'm very keen on rereading. And also I really want to know which wife I would be. So I feel like I need to make a little quiz for it. Let me know. If you also went through a phase of being absolutely obsessed with the wives of King Henry VIII, let me know. Who would you be? I'm very interested in this. I feel like this would be a great icebreaker. But anyway, loved this book. Highly recommend it. So much fun, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, let's talk fanfic. I have 3. I've talked about them literally nonstop on this channel, so I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. If you want more detail on these, check out our 2 fanfic videos. They're going to be in the description box down below. I talk about these a little bit more at length. I love these. I think they're some of my favorite books of all time. And the reason why I put them on this list is because I genuinely think I'm going to do a reread of them this year. I personally love Hermione, Draco, Malfoy, and Hermione fanfic, so all 3 of these fall into that category. The first one is Manacled by Sinlin Yu. This is a dark alternate universe fanfic. Voldemort wins, and oh my gosh, it hurts so good. Please check out the trigger warnings beforehand. There are a lot. It is absolutely heartbreaking and haunting. If I hear the last line of this book, I immediately burst into tears. Avondale Art did artwork throughout this fanfic, and it's gorgeous and it's paired so well. The fanfic is quite long, so please be aware of that going into it. But it's absolutely incredible. It captivated me. It hooked me. I read it nonstop for 3 days. I literally didn't eat, sleep, talk to anyone, do any work, anything. I just read this book and have been a shell of a human since then. So I'm very excited to get to do a reread. If you read this, please let me know. I would love to talk to you about it. But again, please check out the trigger warnings before reading it, because it can be a lot. So definitely going to do a Manacled reread this year. The second one is Measure of a Man by Ina Days 22. This book is the opposite of Manacled in a lot of ways because it is hopeful, it's happy, it's tender, it's friendship. It's finding yourself in just like this really sweet, slow burn kind of way. It was very healing for me after Manacled. This one is also really, really, really long. This book is set when Draco and Hermione are in their 30s, which is another thing that I personally really, really love about it. Draco is a single dad. Scorpio, his son, is hands down the best part of this fanfic. He is so tender. Hermione is a healer and she starts working for someone in Draco's life, so there's kind of that forced proximity. It is the slowest of slow burns. These side characters and their friendships made me yearn to be a good friend and have friendships like that. It was just so precious and sweet and good. The character development is wonderful. The plot is slow, but I loved it and ate it up anyway. I literally could not recommend this fanfic enough. And then the last one was my favorite book of 2023. I've talked about it so many times, so I'm going to try and keep it short, but it is The Disappearances of Draco Malfoy by Speechwriter. This book replaces book 7 in its events. It is canon compliant, and it is absolutely masterfully done. I personally liked it more than book 7, so I just kind of replaced book 7 with this one in my head. It is so good. Basically, the concept is, what if Draco Malfoy had accepted Dumbledore's assistance in going into hiding at the end of book 6, and he somehow joins Hermione, Harry, and Ron on the Horcrux hunt. And oh my gosh, it is fantastic. It perfectly pairs plot with character development. Draco still has all of his prejudice and hate at the beginning of the book, and it is a very internal reflection and change and development throughout the book, and we get both Draco and Hermione's point of view, and it is seamlessly done. It is absolutely stunning. So highly recommend this one. I can't wait to reread it this year. And it was just such a joy to read. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what some of your favorite books are and your favorites to reread in the comments down below. I'm always looking for new recommendations. If you want to learn a little bit more about us, feel free to check us out over on Instagram at the Bibliovertpodcast. We also have a podcast called the Bibliovertpodcast. We have episodes that come out Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. We review books that are YA and NA fantasy, sci-fi, and romance, and it's just a lot of fun. We also have a Patreon, so if you're looking for a bookish community, you are more than welcome to come join our family. We would love to have you. We do monthly book buddy reads and Zoom days to talk about those books. We have a chat with other book lovers that is truly one of the best places to be in the entire world. We have Patreon exclusive episodes and a lot of other exclusive content, so if you are interested in checking that, we would love to have you come join our family. But that is it for this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, happy reading, and I'll see you next time.